Hello, everyone. I'm here to, along with my colleague Jean-Yves Duclos, talk about the recent announcement by General Motors to close down their Oshawa plant. This is, of course, devastating news to the workers, to the community, and to the suppliers as well. We are deeply disappointed as a government of this announcement. Je suis très déçu, notre gouvernement est très déçu avec cette décision et nous allons continuer à travailler fort pour les travailleurs. And I'd like to open it up to any questions you may have.
Sir, Premier Ford is talking about transition and EI for the workers. So are you trying to save the plant and get another car to be made there, another truck to be made there, or are you trying to transition the workers into EI and to other jobs?
So the Prime Minister did speak with Premier Ford. They had a conversation not too long ago. I'll be speaking with my provincial counterpart as well and the mayor from Oshawa as well to talk about next steps and to look at all the options. Right now, we're assessing all the different factors that come into play, but this is really about the workers and the impact this is having on them, their families, and the community as well. We've engaged the company quite extensively since I've been minister, since 2015. Every time I met with the leadership at General Motors, anytime I met with the CEO and chairperson, Mary Barra, I've talked about the Oshawa plant. It's really important that we continue to defend the automotive sector, and we've done so from day one.
Mais qu'est-ce que vous pouvez faire concrètement? Qu'est-ce qu'il y a là, dans votre plan là, sur les actions que vous pouvez prendre concrètement pour aider les travailleurs?
Toutes les options, nous allons examiner toutes les options. We're going to look at all the options at this stage. For us, we're going to work with our provincial counterparts. As the Premier said to the Prime Minister, this is not a political issue. This is not about pointing fingers. This is about standing up for the automotive sector. This is about standing up for the auto workers. This is a really big deal in Oshawa. This is having a significant impact on the workers in that community. There's a long-standing proud history in terms of General Motors' presence in Oshawa, and so now to see this plant closed, to the impact that we'll have is incredibly devastating. And so our thoughts are with the workers and their families, and we're going to continue to defend the automotive sector.
Similar EI help to what you provided the oil patch? Similar EI help to what you provided the oil patch, EI top-up?
As we indicated at this stage, we're going to work and look at all the different options that are available to us. For us, the workers are our number one priority. And the impact it's having on them. So we'll see what options exist to help the workers and to make sure that they're set up for success going forward.
Mr. Bains, can I ask you, they say they're going to shutter the plant on December of next year.
Correct.
Is there any possibility that the Ontario and federal governments can convince GM to put the build a fuel-efficient car at that facility? Because we have a highly skilled labor force. And there's a lot of benefits to being in Ontario, or healthcare and whatnot. Is there a possibility, or is that off the table?
Well, you're absolutely correct. We have a world-class labor force, some of the best employees globally. We're renowned for the work that we do in our automotive sector. We have 500,000 Canadians employed in the automotive sector, both direct and indirectly. And from our perspective, the decision that General Motors has made is one of global restructuring. So this isn't the only plant that's being closed. They're closing other plants in North America and globally as well. So this is part of the overall global restructuring plan. From our perspective, we'll continue to engage with them and work with them. We've introduced the Strategic Innovation Fund that you're familiar with, that we also announced in the Fall Economic Update. We've used that fund to support Toyota, Honda, Linamar, and Ford, for example. So we're willing to work with the automotive sector. We've made those investments in the past as well. But at this stage, the company has made a decision based on their global restructuring, overall global restructuring program. Well, we're willing to engage and work with them, but they've been very clear about their position. We've talked about the Oshawa plant often. I've mentioned this every time I've met with current President Hester, with Mary Barra as well. When we were in Davos, you may recall, I mentioned it with her as well. She knows, before I say hello, I talk about Oshawa. Because for me, the employees matter. For me, these jobs matter. For me, the automotive sector is very important, and for our government as well. And so we've been very clear, we'll continue to defend and support the workers and the automotive sector.
The U.S. wants to.
How betrayed do you feel with the fact that you and the Ontario government spent billions of dollars keeping them afloat in 2009, and 10 years later they're gone?
We're deeply disappointed. This is disappointing news. This is a critical sector for our economy. There are many suppliers, many academic institutions, many employees that rely on this sector. So this is obviously devastating news for Oshawa, for its workers, and we're very disappointed with it.
Thank you. You just said a few minutes ago that Mr. Trudeau told Mr. Ford this is not a political issue, there shouldn't be pointing fingers.
No, I think they both
Was Mr. Ford pointing fingers?
No, not at all. I was about to say that Premier Ford made this point as well, that this is not a political issue. This is not about pointing fingers. This is about working together for the automotive sector. This is about working together for the auto workers.
And so nobody was accusing anybody.
No, this is not about accusing. This is, as I mentioned, General Motors has made this decision based on their overall global restructuring, and we are more than willing to work with the provinces, work with municipal leadership as well to see what we can do for the workers.
Absolument. Merci. Donc, vous annoncez pas des efforts pour empêcher la fermeture de l'usine. Ce que vous dites, c'est que les travailleurs, ils auront l'assurance emploi, ils auront des plans de transition. Vous n'allez pas essayer d'empêcher la fermeture de l'usine.
Bien, ce qu'on dit ce matin, c'est deux choses. La première, c'est que nous sommes très déçus et très surpris de l'annonce de GM que nous avons apprise juste hier. C'était une annonce qui est décevante parce qu'évidemment, elle touche et elle affecte de manière cruelle les milliers de familles de travailleurs et la communauté tout entière autour d'Oshawa. Et la deuxième chose qu'on dit ce matin, c'est que c'est un travail maintenant qui est collaboratif. M. Ford et M. Trudeau se sont parlé. Ils ont échangé sur l'importance de travailler ensemble avec la municipalité, la ville d'Oshawa, pour faire en sorte que les appuis du gouvernement canadien soient les plus efficaces possibles. Alors, plusieurs idées ont déjà commencé à circuler, mais il faut absolument retenir les meilleures options parce que ces travailleurs ont besoin de notre aide.
M. Bains a dit qu'il se sentait floué, qu'il se sentait trahi. Est-ce que c'est parce que Ottawa, par le passé, a donné de l'argent à l'industrie automobile et que finalement les fruits ne sont pas au rendez-vous? On a des pertes d'emploi au final?
Non, mais on a été surpris et déçus, évidemment. Déçus parce que, comme je le disais, des centaines, des milliers de familles et de travailleurs sont affectés par cette annonce. Surpris parce qu'on n'a pas été informé jusqu'à hier que cela s'en venait. Donc, c'est une surprise que on prend mal, qui nous fait mal, mais qui fait encore plus mal à la communauté des gens d'Oshawa. Et là, maintenant, on a besoin de travailler ensemble avec le gouvernement provincial. M. Ford a dit qu'il voulait le faire. M. Trudeau lui a confirmé que c'est ce qu'on voulait faire aussi, pour faire en sorte qu'au cours des prochains jours, des prochaines semaines et des prochains mois, nos travailleurs à Oshawa soient appuyés.
Mais juste pour être bien certain, on fait une croix sur cette usine-là. Oshawa, c'est terminé. On se dit, ça ferme. On ne peut pas récupérer cette usine-là.
On ne fait aucune croix sur aucune chose parce que c'est un enjeu trop important pour la communauté d'Oshawa. C'est aussi un enjeu important pour l'Ontario dans son ensemble et même pour le Canada. Il faut absolument que ce problème auquel on fait face ce matin puisse éventuellement amener à des opportunités pour l'avenir pour la communauté d'Oshawa. Il faut donc le faire avec tous les partenaires qui sont impliqués.
Mr. Bains, when exactly did you learn this decision was coming, and what steps, if any, did you take in the last days to try and get them to change their minds?
So the company officially told us yesterday. We've been engaging with them for months to talk about, again, the future prospects of the Oshawa plant. But they made this official announcement to us yesterday in the context of their overall global restructuring.
But you learned about it before unofficially, though, right?
No, I mean, we talked about them about the Oshawa plant, but they had made no specific acknowledgement of the future of this plant. In 2016, as you're familiar with, the unions were engaging with all the different GM, Ford, Chrysler, and getting new mandates. And so these were part of ongoing conversations for several years with regards to Oshawa. But they officially told us yesterday that this is in the context of the overall global restructuring.
And what did you say to them at that point? What did you say to them at that point when they told you that?
For me, when I found out, this was obviously deeply disappointing. As I said, this is devastating for the workers in Oshawa and the impact it's having on the community. From our perspective, we are really, personally, I'm very, very hurt by this. I think this is from someone who started his career in the automotive sector. I know how important this sector is. I started my career in this sector, and I acknowledge the impact this has on the families, the communities, and so many suppliers as well. So that's why we've been very clear that we're going to continue to defend and support the automotive sector and the automotive workers.
Have we fallen for any indication that the plant could remain open through the work of you and the provincial government?
At this stage, they have not. They've said this is part of the overall global restructuring plan, that this is the path that they're going to move forward on. They do have a footprint of 8,000 employees in Canada. Before they made this announcement, they have a facility in Ingersoll and St. Catharines, and they've got an R&D facility in Markham as well. So they do still have jobs in Canada, but this is a significant loss for Oshawa and for the community.
And have you heard from any of the other auto manufacturers? Ford, for example, is also facing some tough times, restructuring. Have you had any indication that they...
No, at this time, no. This is we've had productive conversations with other manufacturers. As I mentioned, we announced investments in the engine facility for Ford, for example, and the R&D facility right here in Ottawa. We've made similar announcements with Toyota, with Linamar as well, and Honda. Since 2015, we've seen $5.6 billion worth of investments in the automotive sector. $4.1 billion is attributed to direct support from the government. So we invested $393 million in 39 different projects, which is leveraged $4.1 billion of investments in 2015. But make no mistake, this is not about those investments. Today is really about the workers in Oshawa and the impact this is having on them, and that's why we're very, very disappointed with the news.
Have we fallen prey to sign that the industry is changing, though? If GM wants to put more emphasis on clean vehicle, zero-emission vehicle, is this a sign that this might be the first of many restructuring announcements?
This specific restructuring announcement, the way it was communicated to us, had to do with respects to the fact that their sedan vehicle sales are on the decline and their light vehicles around trucks, for example, is on the incline. So this has to do more with consumer preferences and different products that are in demand. But obviously there's other aspects to consumer preferences, as you mentioned, electric vehicles, clean technology comes into play. But the way they described it to us was that their sedan vehicle sales are on decline and they're selling more trucks, and therefore this is part of the overall global restructuring.
Haven't we fallen prey to some economic nationalism here? We know that President Trump wants jobs to come back to the United States. Isn't this what's happened here?
There's been significant closures and job losses in the United States as well as part of GM's global restructuring. So I don't think Canada or the US, this has to do anything in that context. It has to do with the company's overall goal, overall strategy. And they've made this announcement which has had negative impact and consequences in Canada, in Oshawa, but also in the US as well.
The union, sir?
En tant que pays, on n'a pas été capable de se positionner comme leader des véhicules verts, donc leader pour ce qui est des énergies vertes finalement, pour ce qui est du transport.
So, dans notre opinion, notre gouvernement comprend l'importance du secteur automobile et particulièrement dans le secteur propre. Et nous allons continuer à investir dans le secteur propre. Et c'est beaucoup d'opportunités dans le secteur automobile et partout dans notre économie. And that's why we're going to continue to put forward strategies to see growth in other areas where there is consumer demand for clean, green technology that's being embedded in our vehicles as well. But again, today really is devastating and sad news for the workers. We recognize that this is a tough time in Oshawa, what's happening to these employees who've been working there for years and years and decades. And so this closure that's going to take place in the coming months is obviously something that we're very hurt by, we're very disappointed in, and we're going to continue to focus on the workers and continue to support the sector.
The union, sir, Jerry Dias, what have you said to Jerry? What has he spoken to you? Are you working together? He's close with you guys after new NAFTA. Could you expand on that relationship, which is
We do have a positive working relationship with Jerry Dias and the union movement, and particularly with respect to the automotive sector. My understanding is that they are right now in the process of a strike, a short-term strike at GM to demonstrate their protest and their concern and their disappointment with this announcement by General Motors. We are there to support the workers. This is really about them. These are about their families and the impact this is having. And we'll work with Jerry Dias. We've done so in the past when we've made investments in the automotive sector. We negotiated and worked very closely with Jerry Dias when we protected and shielded the automotive sector in the NAFTA conversations. And so we have a very positive and constructive working relationship with them.
Precision, sir, I'm talking about what have you spoken to him?
I'll be reaching out to him momentarily to engage with him and to get a better understanding from his perspective. But they've issued a statement, and I'll be speaking with my provincial counterpart and my municipal counterpart as well. And the Prime Minister just spoke a few moments ago with Premier Ford to talk about how we can work together to protect the workers.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone.
The 2009 bailout was a mistake now, in retrospect? Or was that a smart investment?
Look, from our perspective, these are really important jobs, good quality middle class jobs. 500,000 jobs are connected to the automotive sector, and we want to continue to defend the workers in this sector. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Answer the question at all. Was that a mistake giving them all that money now that they're packing up and leaving?
Look, we want to defend the automotive sector the way we defended the aerospace sector, the way we work closely with the oil and gas sector. The economy is really important to us. It's our #1 priority. In 2008, 2009, we realized the situation at that time was very dire. The previous government, the Conservative government, had made significant investments. This is not only about the auto workers, but this has to do with suppliers and dealers and the impact this has. Like I said, 500,000 jobs are connected to the automotive sector, both direct and indirect. And so we're going to continue to support and defend the automotive sector and the automotive workers. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.